Okay, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Today's training is going to be on unpacking the standard. I'm Vanessa Alvarado, and I will be guiding you through unpacking the standard. Okay, so first of all, this is a look at our 2018-2019 academic progress and student performance in the STAR test throughout the whole entire high school.
Buses 84, 38, 136, and 114.
First we have our
Buses 84, 38,
US
114,
history.
and 136 are now loading.
Our US history, as we can see here, we have the blue is the campus performance, the orange is the district performance, and the gray is the state performance. As you can see here, our US history performs way above our district and state in all approaches, meets, and masters. Another one of our strengths at JHS is our algebra. They also perform right with the district and the state in approaches, meets, and masters. Biology also does well. They perform right with the district and a little bit above the state with the approaches. And then we have our ELA reading. This is where we struggle a little bit more. And as we see here, our ELA reading is at the 55th percentile with approaches. And compared to the district and the state, this is about a 20% difference. Okay, so we struggle with approaches, meets, and then masters as well. So this is what we're going to be targeting to improve for this following academic year. Okay, here is a breakdown of the past 3 years for our ELA and reading scores. We have 2018-2019, 55% approaches, 32% meets, 2% masters. 2017-2018, we had 52% approaches, 29% meets, 3% masters. And 2016-2017, we had 49% approaches, 19% meets, and 1% masters. So as we can see here, throughout the past 3 years, we have had this type of performance. So what can we do to improve it? Just one more slide where we break it down, English 1 and English 2. Okay, there isn't a big significant difference between the two. Both of them need to be improved. Which one are we going to target today? English 1. Okay, so unpacking the standard. Have we heard of unpacking the standard before?
No.
No?
Yeah.
So let me give you a worksheet, and we're going to go through what unpacking the standard is going to be.
Thank you.
Okay, so when we unpack the standard,
88, 127, 33, and 101 are now loading. Again, buses 88, 127, 33, and 101 are now loading.
when we unpack the standard, we're literally breaking down the standard and we're getting down to what the state is asking the students to know. Okay, what they're going to be tested on, what they're supposed to be learning in the classroom, what type of instruction needs to be given by the teachers. So when we break down and we unpack the standard, we get to really focus and target that TEKS. Okay, there's 3 ways into breaking down and unpacking the standard. First, we have the concept. Okay, when we have in the concept, what we want students to learn, evaluate, and apply. Okay, so when we're looking at the concept of a standard, we're looking at those nouns, those that they're actually wanting the student to learn, the what in the standard. Then we have the skill. What ability do we want the students to do? These are the action words. And right now when we look at the standard, we'll look at some of these action words. And then the task. At the end, after the student has mastered the TEKS, what type of task are we asking them to do? And this is besides an assessment. This is something like a project that they would have to do. Okay, so here we have English 1 TEKS 17C. Now, the reason this TEKS was chosen is because it is a high impact. What does that mean? we want to target TEKs that are high impact, that are gonna help improve our scores. With this TEK, it is frequently used throughout the STAR test, and it is frequently missed by our students. So by targeting this high impact TEKs, we are more likely to improve our scores. Okay, so right now, we can write down in the very top, we can write down our TEK. Write it down.
Can I borrow a pencil, please? Yeah. I actually have a pencil here. Thank you.
Buses 115, 159, and 158 are now loading. Buses 115, 159, and 158 are now loading.
Okay, so the first part of breaking down a standard is the what. What are the students needing to learn?
Well, looking at the top right of the process part, so students need to understand the function of and the use of conventions of academic language. Is that the what? Is that what it is?
Yes,
Okay.
The conventions of academic language would be the what. So let's write that down under our concept.
Conventions.
Academic language.
Attention students, bus 148, 95 are now loading. Buses
Now,
148
what
and
would be an
95 are now
example
loading.
of academic
Bus 31
language?
is now loading on bus 90. Bus 31 is now loading on bus 90.
Perhaps something that they might write, like in science class, for example, in telepass, we're having them collect academic samples, right? Maybe they're writing on a process on how to solve a problem in math class. That could be academic writing. Or in our class, maybe a narrative. Science class, maybe, I don't know, how protein synthesis occurs in organisms. That's academic language versus the slang that they might use in everyday text.
Good. Next we have the skill. This is our verb. Like, what is the TEK asking them to do? How are they using this academic language?
Use. You have to use a variety. Is that what the verb is?
The ability to do something too. Okay.
So after they use this academic language when
Speaking and writing.
so
So articulating it either on paper, vocally.
yes. So that would be under our skill. Okay, so they need to speak it, they need to write it, they need to understand. Okay, and then they need to use a variety of correctly structured sentences.
That's part of the skill too.
Okay, so now that we've broken down this TEKs, okay, we know that they need to use this academic language, they need to speak it, they need to write it, they need to use it in structured sentences.
158 are now
we're gonna move on to the task. At the end, what type of work are they going to do with this? And like, what did you mention earlier?
So they should be able to, articulate in writing or maybe, speak in front of their peers or teachers using correct, well, as best as they can, academic language, in all subjects, cross-curricular.
Is, like you mentioned earlier, with the TELPAS testing, they need to be able to speak it, they need to be able to write it. So this needs to be practiced continuously. Okay, so they would be writing an essay, like you said, cross-curricular, they can use this in many different, contents. Okay, so how can we get the students to actually do this? How can we get them to use this academic language and then move them to use it in sentences and to speak it? Okay, so one of the strategies that can be used is learning through graphic organizers. Do you use graphic organizers in your classes?
Yes.
Okay, what are some examples of how you use graphic organizers?
Concept maps, matrices, creating contrasting,
Compare and contrast.
bubble,
Lots of Venn diagrams,
Venn diagrams.
lots of them.
double bubbles.
Double bubbles, good. Okay, so those are all great ways to use a graphic organizer. Here, I have an example of a graphic organizer. We have a concept map, okay? So it's kind of self-explanatory, but it starts with a concept and then it starts branching out, okay? In our TEKs, we saw that we need to use more academic language. So whenever we have a concept, we can start branching out to keywords, words that need to be used for that concept. Okay, so whenever these students get a prompt, okay, and it's asking them to write on a certain topic, they can create this concept map and then start branching out to keywords. Okay, and then from there, they can start building their ideas, relationships, and reflect on this concept map. And then from there, start building on their sentences. But in order for this to be effective, it needs to be practiced throughout their classroom, throughout the year, and throughout different content areas. So this needs to be something that needs to be implemented. Here I have a blank concept map, and I want to, you guys, I have a copy, and we can start looking at a concept map that's something that you would be able to use in your classroom that can be implemented.
Do we make one?
Okay.
We make one. Okay.
Like, what's something that you're covering right now? Or you can also come up with a concept map for another classroom that you would.
Yeah, one of the science teachers actually approached me because she doesn't know what to do for the TELPAS, and I told her, well, what are you covering right now? So let me write one. She told me about a topic called protein synthesis. I don't really know what that is, but I'm just using what she needs.
Yeah, so if we can target the students to incorporate these TEKs in the other content areas that are already excelling, we can also get them to improve in the English content area.
So mine's gonna look different from his, right?
Yes.
Okay. It should.
It doesn't have to be like one word, right? Like it's one word and then connected to. Like,
It
one
can be
word.
however you want the
Like
concept
sentence?
map to be.
Okay. So.
Now, the good thing about concept maps is that you can have this assignment be individual, it can be group, it can be whole class, it can be, like in the beginning when you first introduce it into your classroom, it can be teacher-led, you can do the whole class, and then from there, you introduce the students to building a concept map. Okay, because if you just, give it to them, they're gonna be lost. They're not gonna know what to do with it, so you can kind of incorporate it, whole class, small group, and then individual as they progress through the skill of using the graphic organizer.
Alright, we'll leave mine as done. So mine has questions on it. Because I'd like for them to answer, if I'm gonna use it in the class, like you said, I'd give it to them, maybe with the initial topic, and I might get some students that ask, well, I don't remember what this is. Well, that's why I put questions on there that maybe they might ask or I can ask, and then depending on their answers, well then just more branches are gonna appear.
Okay.
But I did mine with questions. I guess I could have done it with responses too, or done it differently.
No, this is good because it's guiding them to what you want the responses to be and leading them to that academic language. So this is good. Now, let me see. Okay, good, you have metaphors, so from here.
Oh, yours is different from mine. You put, I had questions and you had I use this like when I review a topic, so this is different than what I
Okay, yes,
did.
this is good for like reviewing and having them use that academic language, and then, what were you telling me about adding stuff?
Oh, yes.
Oh, like what I do in mine, I add some words to the lines to just lead the students towards the, what potential word can go into the boxes of the concept map. So
Okay.
it's just like scaffold.
Like in the lines, right?
Yeah,
Okay, so that's good because depending on what type of student you have, especially like if you have ELL students, special populations, those that are gonna need that extra help, you can have those guiding questions, those guiding words in order to get them to use that academic language, and that would be a good way to use it. But you would just have to, modify this
Right.
so that they can use that in the classroom. But that's gonna be it for today's training. But for our next training, we're gonna continue to look at these concept maps. If you have any questions, go ahead and bring your questions on how to implement them. If you have any ideas that we can also cooperate and give this to other teachers so that they can put it in their classroom, that would also be great. Do we have any questions?
No, this was very informative. Thank you so much.
You're welcome,
Thank you.
and we will see you next time.
Thank you.